In this video, we're going to do a quick overview of how to share permissions for a large group on a site for a specific resource, such as a list used for collecting information. So again, in your standard SharePoint site, when you're trying to keep your permissions as simple and clean as possible, you want to do your best to keep permissions to the standard 3 SharePoint groups that come with the site. If you have a group connected site, that it might also involve the group, the site group. But to keep your site permissions clean so that it don't get too messy, you want as much as possible to maintain permissions or how you share through either the group, or if it's a group connected site, or the 3 default groups, the owners, members, and visitors. This makes it easy to keep track of and maintain the permissions as they're set. Now, it's quite common um, that most of your scenario, you're going to have a limited number of people that are going to own. Maybe a few others are going to be the editors of your site, and most of the people within your organization are going to be visitors to your site. They can read the content, but every once in a while on your site where you're going to be sharing your content, you actually want some feedback from the users that are normally visitors to your site. For example, in this example, we've got a training resource list. We want our users that are watching and using our resources to be able to give us feedback if there's issues or problems. And so what I'm going to do is give that group that normally can only read access content to our site, edit access, but just to this specific list. Now, of course, with SharePoint, there's always 2 or 3 ways to do the exact same thing. We're going to show you both what is considered the classic way to share the permissions for your site, or to set up this custom permissions for this list and still keep your permissions clean. And I'm going to show you a couple of the modern ways as well. So again, starting with the classic permission sharing, we're going to go to the gear icon, go to the list settings. We're going to go to the permissions for this list. And then we're going to go ahead and first of all, stop inheriting the permissions. You see that right now, the permissions for the site is inheriting, which means that I can't actually make any edits to these permissions right now. There's no checkboxes, anything like that. So when I stop inheriting permissions, I now have the ability to make edits to the permission levels. Because right now this is, we've got our owners that have full control, members that have edit, and then visitors as read, which we want most of the time. But in this case, for this list owner, now that we've broken the permissions inheritance, we want to edit the permission levels for our visitors and change them to contribute. And that's going to go ahead and allow anyone that's within this visitors group, which is an owner of the site, you'll be able to navigate into that, see who these visitors are. But any of those people now within that group will be able to go ahead and add items, edit items to the list. That is the most simplistic way to it. Of course, there's other custom permission levels. Let's say you only want to allow people to add items, not delete. That's for a more complex video that we'll cover at the same time. That is what we call the classic way, using the advanced permissions to navigate. So we're going to go ahead and reset. Let's say we decide, oh, we don't want to do that. Very quickly, you can undo that by going to deleting permissions. Now, if you've done a lot of complex permission changes to your list, you want to be careful when you do that, because there is no undo for this. Once you delete the unique permissions, any change you make to here is going to reset it back to the permissions all of the site. So be very careful when you do that. If you've made a lot of permissions, you only click the delete unique permissions where you're ready to hit the reset button on the permissions for your list, because you can't undo that. So let's look at method number 2, what is considered one of the more modern methods. So from here, I can actually go to manage access, and then go ahead and click share. And I can go ahead and type in that same, if I know my permissions, I can go to that same training visitors group that is a SharePoint group, select that, use our pencil icon to make sure that we change it to they can edit items. Now, because this is a SharePoint group, it's not going to go ahead and add a message if you were adding someone individually to the site. And again, to keep our permission clean, we want to do this group, not add individuals. Otherwise, our permissions are going to become a mess and hard to keep track of on our list. We go ahead and click send. It's really like, in this case, a save button, because it won't be able to send an email to these visitors, so it's going to tell you it did that. And if we go and look at our advanced permissions, to see what actually happened there, we see that it pretty much did the exact same thing I did before, with the exception that instead of just change read, it added the contribute permission level, left the read, which is really just kind of redundant because contribute has all the same permissions that read does. And again, to show you the third way, I can go ahead and then delete the unique permissions, go back, and we'll navigate back to our list using our breadcrumbs here. And then one more time, we're gonna go ahead and manage access. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is navigate into these groups. And again, we can see these same groups. Now this looks a little bit different because this is a group connected site. So we've got our 3 default groups, the owners, visitors, members. And it shows you that the owners are the owner, they have full access. Visitors can view, and then the SharePoint members can edit, which is your comment, your edit, similar to design, access to the site, the content. And then you've got the M365 group, which is going to be actually a site collection admin for the site. And so from here, what we can go ahead and do is make an edit here. Right now it's at can view. We can change it to can edit items, which is basically our contribute permission level. It's a modern view of that it tells you what it's going to do. You hit apply and you go to make those changes. And if we go ahead and navigate just to look at our advanced permissions to see what happened, which another way to get to that is to navigate to the manage access, click advanced settings, and that's going to jump us right into the permissions of your list. You look at the URL, see we're right back into those list settings. And we see that, yep, it's broken the permissions and given the visitors the contribute access. And this looks cleaner here. It doesn't say contribute read. And this is one of the reasons that I like this the best as opposed to using the sharing. So if we use the modern, I prefer that method of directly engaging with the access there. There you go. There's your 3 different ways to change the permissions. You can grant the visitors group, normally your group that's going to only be able to view the content on your site, edit access or contribute access to specific app or resource on your site. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.